Breaking news here on Philadelphia Eagles Now on this Thursday morning, December 4th. Hope you're all having a great day. But this Darius Slay situation just took a turn, and that breaking news that I'm alluding to, this is fascinating and very, very interesting. Slay, after all, will not be reporting to the Buffalo Bills after being claimed by Buffalo yesterday. And there's an opportunity he could still be a Philadelphia Eagle. Of course, that famous saying, are you saying there's still a chance? Yes, there is a chance that Darius Slay could wind up playing for the Eagles once again. And so this news really started to develop the other day once Slay was released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then there was that report from John Clark. There was mutual interest between Slay and the Philadelphia Eagles. The former Eagle Hugh Douglas had reported that a reunion was going to happen. But then yesterday it seemed as though the people who wanted Slay to come back to Philadelphia and play once again in the Midnight Green, those dreams were dashed because Buffalo put in a claim on Darius Slay. And the Eagles, too, put in a claim for Darius Slay. But they were after Buffalo on the pecking order. And so there's a couple of avenues that could happen here. Slay's going to take some time to determine what he wants to do for his football future. Darius Slay could decide to retire, call it quits, because it's been an illustrious career. Or there are some potential loopholes here that maybe him and Howie Roseman could go through, which could ultimately lead to Slay actually signing with the Eagles and not going to the Buffalo Bills. Slay, I think, clearly wants to be an Eagle and only wants to be an Eagle. He signed with Pittsburgh. It didn't work out with the Steelers. I don't think the Eagles were ever bringing him back because of the money, the age, and the issues with the knee. He'd ended up playing well with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you think about the Buffalo Bills on offense. They are led by Josh Allen. They are so Josh Allen reliant. Even on offense, they're really not that impressive in my opinion because they don't have a bunch of talent on that side of the ball. And on defense, all season long, they have not been able to stop a nosebleed. And so they're in this desperation territory where they know that Josh Allen is in his prime. They're trying to compete for a Super Bowl. The AFC, in addition to the NFC, wide open. And they're trying to patchwork this defense right now, especially in the secondary where they've given up a lot of big plays, a lot of passing yards. They haven't been able to be productive on that back end. They've had some injuries on defense. And so they put the claim in on Darius Slay, hoping that a veteran who's been very well accomplished can help them out on the defensive side of the ball. But Slay is probably saying, man, I'd have to go to Buffalo. I have to learn a new scheme. There was the reporting the other day that he wants to continue his career and he wants to play for a playoff team. But going to the Eagles probably in his mind is so much easier. He can be a plug-and-play guy. He has familiarity with the system, familiarity with the organization. He was a team captain with the Eagles as voted on by players, and he's very well respected in that locker room and by that coaching staff. So you think about this Darius Slay timeline here. In March, he signs the one-year, $10 million deal with Pittsburgh. Week 13, this was Sunday, he was a healthy scratch against Buffalo. Tuesday, he gets released by the Steelers. Wednesday, claimed by the Bills, and then the report that kind of came out of nowhere from Adam Schefter that after all, he is not going to report. And we'll see what he can sway and what type of pull his agent Drew Rosenhaus has. Again, he could ultimately just decide to hang up the cleats and decide to retire. There was this report from Ian Rappaport on Wednesday that a reunion, though, almost happened. So this tells me that Slay does want to continue playing, but only for one team. And that one team is the Eagles. Because according to Rap Sheet, the Eagles also put in a claim for Darius Slay, hoping their former starting corner could return to Philadelphia. But Buffalo had that priority and they got him. And what that means is, based upon the waiver claim order, the Bills, because of strength of schedule, a lot of nuances to this thing, were ahead of the Eagles in the pecking order on the waiver claim list. And that's why Buffalo got priority on Slay before the Eagles. Ian Rappaport also just tweeted this out moments ago when this news broke, that the Eagles put in a claim for Slay, have to wonder if this was the plan. And I think what he means here was the plan to go to the Eagles and the Eagles only. If another team put in a claim on Slay, he was then going to take some time to make his decision, try to massage this thing in a way where he could go to the Eagles, and if not, he'll just decide to retire. Those Wednesday developments, this is something that we've obviously been talking about on the show the last couple of days. John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, with that report that there was mutual interest between the Eagles and Slay. Again, this tells me he wants to continue playing. Hugh Douglas saying a reunion is going to happen, but then the Bills swoop in and they claim him. Now, this is an important nugget here, an important factoid. The Bills do retain his rights if Slay decides to change his mind. So if Slay says, all right, I've taken some time, I've met with my family, I want to continue playing, the Bills can say, okay, you either come to us or you don't go to another team. The Bills could also say, all right, we will let you go to another team. And obviously, if that were to happen, the latter of those situations, there are going to be some type of NFL loopholes that the Eagles and Slay are going to have to go through in order to make this happen. And this is a move that I think if it does happen, as I've talked about this week, I think it'd be a smart move for the Eagles. I don't see how this could end up being a bad move for the Eagles. I don't look at it as a lose-lose type of situation. I look at it as a win-win situation, or if it doesn't work out, it's a wash, right? Clearly, Howie Roseman still thinks that cornerback is a need. He has interest in Slay, right? And going into the deadline, the Eagles traded for Jair Alexander. He decided to step away from the team, though, so that opens up an avenue for a corner to join this Eagles roster. And Slay just didn't really fit what Pittsburgh wanted to do on defense. Wasn't a good scheme fit there, but I think that defense top to bottom just has been an underperforming, disappointing unit this season. What also made Slay expendable was that the Steelers added Asante Samuel Jr. to the practice squad. They elevated him to the active game day roster on Sunday against the Bills. And I think they want to side with the younger player here who could be a building block if that neck can stay healthy. And the Eagles could use cornerback depth. Slay in 2025, there's no doubt he didn't really play that well with Pittsburgh. And that's why they let him go. If he was playing great, this wouldn't be the case. Overall PFF grade 58.3, that ranked 71st among 110 corners. Coverage grade of 58.6, 69th. I know a lot of you like that number, but not for the coverage grade. Receptions 28, missed tackle 7. It's been a problem. It's never been a great tackler. No picks and 3 pass breakups. But I will say, and this probably goes into why Slay would be interested in a reunion and why the Eagles would be interested in him. It wasn't long ago that Slay was starting for this team and playing really, really well. That's where the scheme continuity and the player recognition and familiarity from the Eagles standpoint comes into play here, because they're probably looking at Slay and saying, he played really well for us last year. He can be at least close to that this year. Overall PFF grade last year of 67.6, that was 48th. Coverage grade 68.9, that was 35th. He ranked 3rd among corners in pass breakups with 12, and he had 442 coverage snaps. And I saw some people in the comments section on YouTube, on my social media pages at Chase_Senior saying he was washed with the Eagles last year. He gave up so many big plays. Actually, he didn't. 20-plus yard completions, he only allowed 3. That was a career best. First downs allowed, 15. A career best. His pass breakup rate, 19.1%. Also a career best. And then the numbers to the left of the screen, also career best numbers. Completion rate allowed, 47.1%. Yards allowed, 371. Yards per attempt, 5.5. I don't think that Slay has just gotten cooked overnight. Now, going back to his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, has a lot of pull, has a lot of sway, has a lot of say, has a lot of power. He's an important figure here in trying to make this work for his client. He might call up Brandon Beane and say, hey, man, my client doesn't want to sign with Buffalo, wants to go to the Eagles. You guys aren't rivals, so is there any chance that we can make this happen? I'm also seeing a Slack notification here from my guy Cullen, who we call the Tank. Okay, this is about Jalen Carter. Okay. Jalen Carter out for Monday's game against the Chargers after undergoing a procedure this past Monday on both of his shoulders. Carter is now undergoing treatment on both shoulders, and he will be considered week to week to return. Carter wanted to be as close to 100% as possible for a playoff run, and the Chargers might be without Justin Herbert. So obviously those two injuries loom large for this Eagles-Chargers game. But for Rosenhaus, I think he might try to obviously convince Buffalo to let Slay sign with the Eagles, and they've got a little bit of leverage here because Rosenhaus could say, all right, if you don't let him go, my client's just going to retire, and he's not going to join your team. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you subscribe to the channel. When breaking news happens, Eagles Now with Chase Sr., yours truly is on it. And you look at the numbers here to my right, we're 220 people away from 139,000 subscribers. If you ain't subscribed, you ain't alive. Today's Philadelphia Eagles Now is sponsored by the DraftKings Sportsbook, the best sportsbook in the game. Producer Chip, he's my right-hand man here on the ones and twos producing this show, but he's also the host of 76ers Now. So you'll see that this code is Sixers related. That's why. Sign up with the DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Here's Chip with more.
We're only a few weeks in, and the NBA season is already wild. Stars are going off, rookies are making noise, and the action doesn't stop. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is where you can get in on all of it. Don't forget, the Emirates NBA Cup is rolling along. Big moments, big matchups, and a whole lot on the line. Don't miss out. Jump in and bet on the action today. New customers, bet just $5 and get $200 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat, bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Let's go with a little parlay action for Monday Night Football. Again, Jalen Carter not playing in this game with that shoulder procedure. Chips picks plus 1,200 here. Saquon Barkley touchdown. Last time he played at SoFi, went off against the Rams last year in Week 12. Ladd McConkey touchdown. Eagles -3 against the Chargers. Odds and lines subject to change. Now with Slay, if he does decide to call it quits and he decides to retire, walk off into the sunset, I think he has a good career waiting in media. I think the podcast has been pretty good, and what a career it was for him. A 2013 second-round pick out of Mississippi State where he played alongside Fletcher Cox. They had a lot of familiarity, and Slay actually said on a podcast that Fletcher Cox, when the Eagles were trying to make that move for Slay, it was either going to be the Raiders or the Eagles. Raiders were offering more money, and Fletcher said, we have a winning organization. Come here. You'll make that up in marketing and playoff games, and it ended up working out well for Slay because he ended up being a great player for the Eagles after his Lions career. He was with Detroit 2013 to 2019, with the Eagles from that point forward, and then with the Steelers here in 2025. First team All-Pro in 2017, 6 Pro Bowls, 2017 to 2019, and then consecutively with Philadelphia from 2021 to 2023, and of course a Super Bowl 59 champion. Now, if the Eagles do not make this move for Slay, the corner outlook looks as such. Cooper DeJean will get some snaps on the inside. He'll get some snaps on the outside. I think Vic Fangio has prioritized playing Adoree Jackson on that outside, obviously, ahead of Kelee Ringo, who just hasn't developed. Michael Carter getting some snaps on the inside and at safety. Jacorian Bennett really not in the mix, nor is the rookie Mac McWilliams, a 4th-round pick out of Central Florida. And then Quinyon Mitchell, we talked about his numbers earlier this season, legitimately having an all-pro caliber season. And I think that when it's all said and done, he could get some votes for Defensive Player of the Year. Might need to notch some more interceptions in order to climb up that leaderboard. Don't forget to give me a follow on X, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can find me on all those social media platforms at Chase_Senior. It is the same username on all of them. I just launched a TikTok 2 weekends ago. We're already closing in on 1,000 followers. Let's go. Appreciate your support.